up, y'all, and welcome to this episode of Skeptic and Ranting. Reid calls out Pride Month from the pulpit. Dun, dun, dun. Yes, it's true, James, where tonight we are watching a video from the channel Reason Theology, because you really want to have that first, too. You don't want to lead with theology, because... Anyway,
called out by Jesus. What do you... Called out by the G-Man himself, the J-Man.
I still stand by the fact that 30 years old, didn't have a girlfriend, no wife, hung out with just the guys. But, you know, who knows? Maybe he's just shy.
You didn't want to be around icky women.
I know. James, that's how you know you're gay, when you hang out with, you know, members of the opposite sex.
Being the savior of humanity, that's a man's job.
It's a man's job. So
humanity. He can't waste time with women.
And I was gonna break right into it, but like, what is the so many ex-gays or whatever closeted people call themselves in religion, but it's all because of religion. Like, you never get like an ex-gay atheist. Like, man, I just, you know, hated that I loved the D so much until I found reason and skepticism. And then I stopped being gay. No, it's always you find like the other boyfriend up there.
I found out it's just I have these worms that make me crave.
Maybe RFK was gay until they got the brain worm out. You never know.
That's why you have to drink gallons of it a day. They're really thirsty.
I really do get people in debates and arguments that are like, oh, you just need like a good cleansing, a good clearing, and then you would stop being, you know, gay, trans, whatever it is that they dislike. But yes, won't you join James W. and myself, Amy Newman, as we have, a mighty good time celebrating Pride. If I could have a sound effect with a thunderbolt, this is where it would be. Thank you for joining us out there on the inner tubes. Please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, everything else that YouTube secretly signs us a blood contract that we must sacrifice a volcano. Yes, we must sacrifice a volcano to a child. It's you know, crazy days we live in. The baby's overwhelmed with the volcano, but his problem, not ours. Anyway, yes, we are talking about a priest calls out Pride Month from the pulpit. Unlike our fantastic guy in our title card, this is not going to be a man celebrating Pride. You know, it's what religion does best. They're not really good at the whole, you know, loving people thing. You know, the believers are good at that, but the leaders, hate just sells a little bit better. And so, religion. But yes, if you liked, follow, subscribe, it gives you a chance to hit that all button icon that when hit to all will allow you to see premieres or join our live streams, and we can start to say hello, like, what's up, Stephanie? And you are Victoria, and hello, Outsiders, and Romulus Mars, and Tafreak. What's up, Tafreak? And Victoria, and everybody. Boom, 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 boom. Binge Thinker, Keep on saying hi. We'll say hi to you. Pride is gay. It's true though. Pride is gay. And I will say, I was while we were setting up or something, Stephanie, you were making me laugh with that comment. It is true, and I think it's just funny how our tonight's opposition viewpoint, they just go far out of their way to be like, listen, we know that the message out there is like they're cool with gays, but if you read the book, it actually says, kids, we should probably be stoning you, but the society is crumbling.
Meaning that if you come in the church and you give us money, we'll take your money, but gay people want to come in and throw coins in the collection plate, go right ahead. But
and I
doesn't mean we believe that you're like an equal human or that your relationship is
no.
good.
You have to ask yourselves, do they view themselves? They have to view themselves a little bit above like the normal person, because they have a little bit closer to a direct line to God. You're closer to manager. That's why I think these prophets, so-called prophets, and all these people, they are ultimately cult leaders.
So you're probably not familiar with the doctrine of apostolic succession that the Catholic Church has.
James, I read it to myself at night before. No, yes.
When every priest is consecrated, right? So the bishop that does the consecration, there's called the laying of hands, where they put the hands on and they transfer the priestly powers. But the church actually...
I had that skill in World of Warcraft. Okay, continue.
Yeah. The church actually traces this back to the time of the apostles, so that you can go back and show who consecrated every single priest, who consecrated them, all the way back, they claim, to the first century. They are directly connected to the apostles, so they claim.
James, it's a direct line. They all made this story up, but, it's a direct succession of these men who have not had sex with anyone, or so they say. A lot of altar boys randomly go missing for days on end, but Catholic Church is doing well. Anyway, any gay. Yeah, speaking of any gay, once again, happy Pride Month, y'all. I hope that you're enjoying yourselves out there. I'll continue to say that I like Pride Month for two reasons. One, the obvious. We are celebrating our sexuality. We are trying to destigmatize shame and counter it with being proud of who we are. But, secondary, it pisses religious people off. And I do have to say, yeah.
That's the bonus.
It is very much a cherry on top, and I do like taking my time with that cherry, because it upsets them to the point where, James, I really do feel like most of the LGBTQ issues, when we're in commercials by like Fortune 500 companies, that it's basically over and we're boring. Like if we're selling IKEA furniture, it's just, it's over.
What if they had someone from the LGBT community marketing a beer that rednecks tend to drink?
But a liquid that humans consume? James, I think
that garners more towards the country folk, the redneck folk.
I think I would lose my mind and vow never to drink this product again until their CEO pays me enough money behind the scenes. And then I'm pretty sure he served it. Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure one, Mr. I think we'll call him Mr. Rock, I think his name. He had to fire at the beer because he had to display how angry he was that what was it? It was that her face was plastered on all local beers, right? That was sent around. I think that's how the story went, right?
No, actually,
No?
no. It was a single can that they gave to
A
different Maldives.
single can that they gave to a single, what do they call?
Person?
Yeah,
Human?
socialite. Yeah, human. And
Influencer.
influence. I do believe that basically means at the end of the world. Can I also tell you what the message shifted? And once again, we're ranting at this point, but it has slowly become, well, it's not that they were, and I'm not going to do my southern accent. It's not, James, that they had a transgender woman on a beer. You need to understand, this woman went on a podcast with, now once again, every subscriber is hard-earned, hard-fought. Doesn't matter what level you are when you're gaining a subscriber as a content creator.
It's a victory every time.
It is a victory. However, she went on a podcast with about 500 subscribers and did say that she was trying to expand the market into a non-fratty organization, trying to reach out there. Yeah. Now, once again, they look at that and go, well, that's basically her blitzkrieg. She went around saying how dumb rural people are. Well, no, I think she went on a podcast where she thought that no one was ever going to watch it. Yeah. And was just trying to connect to the liberal person in front of her and be like, we're selling to you. And then probably forgot she did the podcast and then exploded.
They just don't care about southeast central rural Arkansas. It's
true, James. The German company that owns it, along with, for some reason, like a good 60% of American beers, they own
Belgium,
Moldova. They own the one that outtook Bud Light. It was their own beer. And so it was like you screwed them over to make themselves number one again. Congratulations. Whatever. But yes, eventually Kid Rock came around, and like I said, they make mistakes, James. They make mistakes. And that's because
I'm not buying another Chevy Malibu. I'm going to go out and get a Chevy Silverado truck. That'll show Chevy. That'll show them.
Exactly.
That'll show them. I'm not getting another Malibu. I'm getting the Silverado. You can take your Malibu and drive it up your own ass.
Shove it up your ass. Yeah. But for what it's spineless to mention, Bud Light did not really defend their gal. That's the thing that really pissed me off. What's up, Big Bad Mama? Yes, he is not exactly the height of intellectualism. Once again, we make a lot of shoving things up your butt jokes on this channel. And so once again, maybe we are the pot calling the kettle black. But we're also not taking a assault rifle and shooting up beer like that matters.
Because at the end of the day, does the company care whether you drink its product or shoot its product? It doesn't matter to the you still bought the product, right?
Well, and normally, in almost all cases, unfortunately, publicity is publicity, even bad publicity.
Yeah.
So they did probably take a minor cut because of their version of media, but then everything goes right back to normal eventually. Cough, excuse me.
I mean, it's like the faux outrage, like the Starbucks and the Christmas thing, and then 3 months later, they're all walking around with their $9
that shit drives
lattes,
me crazy.
Their $9 lattes in their hand that they're walking around with like nothing.
James, can I give you the correct etiquette? Okay, the correct etiquette to do in each situation that someone greets you during the holiday season. If someone says Merry Christmas, you know what you say back to them?
fuck you, I'm an atheist. I don't celebrate Christmas.
That's right. But also, Merry Christmas. And you know what you do if
Oh,
someone says Happy Holidays?
Take your holidays and shove them.
Shove them right up your ass. You say Happy Holidays, and then you go on with your day. That is the go-to. Say whatever nice thing, if it's met with nice intention. Now, if someone goes up to you and says, Merry Christmas, all right, a little weird. Maybe something's going on there. But generally speaking, people are saying that because it's just that season and they're on autopilot, and please just let them go forward. Happy holy days.
Take the Christ out of Christmas. Well,
That's
we beg
right.
to differ. You can.
What's up, Mr. Creenan? We most certainly can. We could also take the Lord's name in vain. God can be mocked. It's actually quite easy. He can be tricked if you're a snake. If you're a snake with legs, basically,
Prophets can
in the
be
bag.
drawn.
Yeah. Prophets make profits. But yes, let's we could probably spiel all day. We'll do our shilling and then we'll get into the opposition viewpoint. I will
He's
say
gonna
I
be in
did
the
have...
hot seat. He's talking right to her. He's calling her out.
Yeah. Because sex drives them crazy. Like, it's just weird that these celibate monks, priests, have such views on what they don't do. I guess you could say the same on us. We don't believe in God. We're having a reaction. But it's just weird that these cults, and to me, a religion is just a very popular cult, just they're obsessed with this subject. In fact, we only tend to talk about it when Soros pays us. So right now, brought to you by Being Gay. Why are you gay? Because it feels so good. I don't know what to tell you. I love that exchange. The person, by the way, being interviewed, the basic saint.
They
I
pay
don't
me
believe in
every time I
sainthood.
am.
They pay me.
It's a great way to make money.
Every time I go. I'm also baffled by the
know?
people tell me that it's a choice. Because I don't think they really thought that through. Because to me, that implies they're bisexual. Like, if you can just look at a guy as a guy and be like, you know what? I choose to find him hot. Or you know what? I choose to find them nah. I don't know. It just... Is that how you go around, James? You look at a girl and you're like, do I want to find them attractive? I'm going to have to think about this. I might have to formulate an argument in a syllogism.
If you say the S word more than 3 times, ultimately might pop up.
We haven't seen Ultimated in a while.
We have not.
He may have gotten taken away. That's okay. Hopefully, have good medicine there.
His
and
syllogism collapsed into a black hole and sucked them right up.
What kills me on the inside, even though he sets us up perfectly for humor, if you don't know who Ultimated is, I mean, he's basically a hero on this channel because he's one of the few who will tell you with a straight face that he has sex with God. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when you come closer to the person on the train. You're like, oh, tell me more. Person with a bottle that I'm pretty sure might be filled with a liquid that... No. Then again, we also have... I'm sending love to the preacher who has a new greatest claim. I was talking to this to Rachel while I go to bed. I know someone who thinks they're perfect. Isn't that a crazy claim, James? If you think you're perfect. Like, that's involves. You can't be wrong. By the way, that's how prophets are born. All this shit. You just gotta have confidence.
He claims there are other people that think that, but I don't think anybody else other
And
than the
if
preacher
his
thinks
wife
that the preacher is perfect.
tells him that, she is lying, or she's either saying it sarcastically, or she has Stockholm syndrome. Now listen, I'm sure
she won't have to listen to him argue about it. Okay, fine, Perry, you're perfect. Okay, you're fucking perfect. Everything you do is good. Everything you say is true. Now get the fuck out of here.
the Christians go at him for the smoking and things like that. But is everything perfect? Does he eat perfectly? Every diet choice?
You see, that's what he said. When he became a Christian initially, he was struggling because all the other Christians, you shouldn't drink, you shouldn't smoke, you shouldn't do this, that, and he was not able to curb those.
And what happened, James? He formed what became what he is now. He created this with the "you can't sin, I don't sin," which you tell this to an atheist.
Everything is permissible.
We keep on trying. I know everything, which is. Isn't it weird how like nihilistic they ultimately get?
Yeah.
Like I understand they're atheists, they're nihilists, but I just find that oftentimes theists, that when they're really challenging their religion, they get this like big ball of nihilism that you don't have to go towards. So I guess that means we should be killing everyone? No, that just means there's someone not spying on you 24/7, 365. Were you gonna kill everyone if you didn't think that happened?
Well, he said, he could kill somebody. It wouldn't be wrong in God's eyes. It wouldn't be a sin. Now, I mean, there might be some issues with going to prison, so that wouldn't be good. It would probably not be a good idea for him to do that.
Picky.
God wouldn't have any opinions about it one way or the other.
God may like it. God may like that America has... Oh, my hair is about to turn blue the more I talk. We do. We have a large prison population. We run it like a McDonald's. No. Not to get too blue-haired, but also just a shout-out, because I did have another impromptu debate on race. It was fun. I was starting to get... I was like hesitant to even...
What are they saying?
They were, I guess, the term that they usually use. And James, it is a 2-word. And it's always in those 2 words because you don't want to say racist. Racial realist.
Those guys. Okay.
The white is an identity, and it's an important identity. An American white is an important identity. And I'm like, in this back of my head, maybe you just need... I hate to say maybe you just need a girlfriend, because maybe he does have a girlfriend. But how about a hobby? Have you tried knitting or playing a video game? Like, I don't know.
Else to direct your mental faculties towards other than...
Yeah. Like, I do not have a background, a graduate degree level background in critical race theory. I just think that race as a concept is just very silly. And I use silly in a lot of ways, and I should be frank. I think it's stupid, James. I do. I understand, and this will be my last rant on it. I never would lecture someone if you're just using it in a lay context or it's on a forum. I just roll my eyes. I'm not there to preach to people. I just think that it's not the... Well, first of all, I view it as pseudoscience. I think that that is the biological backing, but I also just think there's just more important things in life, and not all right. Enough.
I mean, I would love to see us get to like a post-racial society where we just don't even think about it. It's just not even a thing that people even think about anymore. I think that would be the ultimate goal.
And I think we will get there And as I always say, it's not going to be for the reason that people think it is. It's not going to be for like the hippie reason. I do think it's going to be for a different hippie reason, possibly. It's going to be sex. I just think that there's not that much more to run. There's not much more to explore in terms of habitats to live. In terms of places, the ocean, vastly undiscovered. Probably not going to live down there. The, space, lots to discover. We're not going to be, yeah, but they exactly, they may be roaming out there instead of us for a little while. So right now, we're going to be mingling and jingling, and I don't know. My last point on it is that skin is the one. It's the one organ that actually changes color, and we always like to think of ourselves as like color. And yet, if you look at ourselves over life, it's actually like a varying kind of shifting kind of thing. And it's really just about filtering out UV rays or not. If you come from somewhere it doesn't, it's really not that big a thing. Oh my goodness. Though it came with a lot of baggage. I always, my liberal asterisk on this is I'm not saying racism doesn't exist. Because unfortunately, people believe race is very real. They don't listen to the scientific community. And so, yeah, it's going to be a few thousand more years until Star Trek, James. So.
It depends. How long our current civilization keeps going. If there's a profound collapse and reset, then, things could happen much quicker than anybody thinks. But the nature of the global economy today makes that very hard to happen, because you would need literally the entire world economy to collapse with no area that's doing better that could prop it up. Like, remember when, like, around 2010, everyone thought, oh, all the Euro countries, they're all going bankrupt. Well, guess what? The rest of the world bailed them out, and life went on.
Things like a homeostasis, systems like a homeostasis, if they can have them, or a balance.
The Keynesians, they're just too good at regulating an economy. Like, as soon as it starts to falter, they just rush in, and as long as they're able to borrow money,
see, I don't know,
free, then they can keep it going in perpetuity.
See, I don't know enough to comment. I almost interrupted you to say basically nothing, so I'm sorry.
Yeah. Keynesian economics, that's what they call priming the pump. That's where government spends in certain ways to prop the economy up when private sector spending has gone down.
Okay.
See, like
I've heard the term before, but I just know that there's rioting going on or something.
Well, like, remember 2009, like the Republicans were like, oh, our deficit, the budget, because the recession, so tax revenues go down. So their approach would have been hands off, cut spending, you cut revenues. Well, that's what they did in the 1920s. Well, initially, it didn't work. It just,
yeah.
It's unintuitive. You spend money that you don't have to restart the economy, but
sure. But you're hoping people, I guess, use the money.
Yeah, exactly. You put more money in circulation.
I'm very much a fan of just mixed economies. I'll continue to say I like trade and I like welfare. I wish I had a better term for welfare. It fits my one-word criteria, and yet it's become politicized. I know. But I like it. I like welfare. I like programs that help people, and I like a market where if you are able to sell goods and trade, I think that's what you should do. We can have both. Most successful societies, I think, do. But now we're just talking straight politics. Once again, Soros is just telling us that reminder to have butt sex. Really? Oh. I also point out that, and that is something that he brings up in this, not to just spoiler alert, but they always bring up that it's always about very specifically sex. And I love sex. However, it is about love. Like, it's about love as much as any other as I feel like as a bisexual and having both of these relationships, maybe I'm just biased. However, like, there's no actual difference. Like, like there's different social norms and stuff. However, a relationship's a relationship's a relationship.
Right.
It's like the electric bill doesn't care what gender you both are. Oh my. But yes, they just care so much, once again, about the sex element. They kind of almost have to sell it, because it's not love. It's just sex. Mostly because they are not getting sex.
Well, the thing that like bothered me, like back in the whole like opposition to gay marriage, it's like, but you realize gay people are out there living together in houses, having sex with each other. They're doing that. You realize we can't stop that. They're not going to be able to put the police in every bedroom to make sure there's no
not
gay
any
sex
way
happening.
that is legal anyway. I'm sure they have many ways they would like to, but yes.
Right. There's no way they can regulate that, so they kind of just want it behind closed doors. They just don't want to have to look at it, you know.
Yes. Well, here's the thing. You can't stone them and hang them like the book wants you to. And so you kind of have to wag your finger at it. That's the best that they can do, is basically saying, well, we shouldn't be promoting it. That's the word they like. Like you are their PR manager. James, we're promoting gayness right now. Gay. I
think the case of the last two gay people executed in Britain was obviously, so two guys met up and one of them went back to the other guy's room, and someone else in the building like heard strange noises coming from that apartment. So that was back in the days of the skeleton key locks. So you could kind of look in, and when the person looked in the room, he saw some very naughty things happening in there. So, of course, when he runs and gets the nearest police officer and informs them, so they go up and they find the people doing naughty things. And out of all the other convicts that were that got the death sentence for that, every single one of them was pardoned or had their sentence commuted, except those two.
I also include Alan Turing among this list, because although it literally
sentenced to death, but it did deeply contribute to his
yes.
death.
Yeah.
That was an era in Britain where there were literally hundreds of crimes that were punishable by death, but most of the 90% of the time it would be reduced or pardoned, or they didn't actually carry them out. Nearly.
What originally became, I imagine, religious, moral, and malice eventually becomes dull, burden, and paperwork. And so it just gets watered down after generations to them not caring, because we are not the downfall. Becky and Sarah being able to marry is not the downfall of society.
But they do that scissor thing together in bed. Have you seen it? They do the scissors.
I have. You should see my browser history. I want to see their browser history, but then we'd have to get Chris Hansen.
You can't see my browser history. That's for men only.
That's right. Oh my!
Certified vagina free on this browser,
James. And remember, because if there was any, that'd be gay. Anyway,
what if he has a program that he puts on there that just in case anybody punks him and sends him a picture of a naked woman, it will immediately cover their private
James,
parts.
you do
It'll
know.
immediately like block it out, so he won't be exposed to it.
If you don't know this, then I want to inform everyone of this. This person is third in line to be president of the United States right now. So if Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were to get taken out by some misfortunate event, this person would be in control of the United States. Mike Johnson is on a porn alert app with his son. If you don't know what a porn alert app is, they both apparently, supposedly, I want for my lawyer has to make me say allegedly, has an application that every time that one of them, either of them, go on and look at porn, it notifies the other person.
Right.
James, can you imagine getting a text message or a notification from your dad saying he was looking at porn?
Right.
Religion, ladies and gentlemen. Religion. You could not get that anywhere else.
What they would call accountability partners. So, like two guys, like if a guy goes to the church and he tells the pastor he's struggling with porn addiction, and as long as the pastor is not Ted Haggard and doesn't try to have sex with him himself, but a lot of times what they'll do is they'll assign like another parishioner who maybe had similar issues at one point, claims to be over it, and you'll meet with this person and basically just let them have access to your phone and let them see what you've been looking at. So if it's Alex Jones and it's got the T-Girl sites up there.
A little bit here. Yeah. James, oh yes, which also reminds me, did you know that we will always exist, James? Boom, boom. Happy Pride, y'all. Boom, 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 boom.
Not going anywhere.
Not going nowhere. But also love out to my gay and trans and bi, but also my asexual and non-binary friends. Basically anything that triggers religious people, we like to celebrate here, and you have a home. Mwah! But yes, an accountability partner, or as I like to say, isn't that a boyfriend but with extra steps?
Pretty much, yeah.
Can't go in, can't go out. The tale is old as time. Anyway, there's many ways. Stephanie. Good night, Stephanie. Sending so much love. You should all be also checking out her fantastic streams that she does not only on the line, but also on her channel. Boom, boom, sending love, Stephanie.
That's very kind of you. Hello, outsider.
Oh, thank you so much. Hello, outsider. Sending love. Yes, happy Pride, y'all. I always get, the question, why have Pride? Isn't Pride basically a negative thing? And I've thought about this. Yeah, not necessarily. I can imagine just very easy, wholesome. Can you imagine your child being proud of your child? And so I view Pride as a neutral thing, and what it's trying to do is, in my opinion, be the opposite of shame. And so it's hard as a messaging just to say gay is okay. It doesn't have the same, it makes me laugh. Yeah. It just doesn't have the same ring and sales pitch. And so we're saying we have pride not to be like, yes, our sexuality, mwahaha. No, just like, yes, we are proud of who we are. Now we can go about our day.
Well, as someone who's heterosexual, like that's never been something you had to hide, or there was nobody ever considered that to be bad or unusual, or.
But I do want you to know,
it was
James,
considered the default.
I accept you for that.
Yes, It was considered normal. It was the default. It was nothing you had to hide or keep behind closed doors. But that's not true for the LGBTQ community. There was a time where they did have to hide this. They did have to do it behind closed doors. They did have to be shamed about it by a lot of people. And now that's getting better. And so there is this, now that they don't have to hide it. Yeah, you want to be proud about being who you are because you were not able to be so open about it before. It had to be something that you hid about yourself.
Yes, they spread the religion by book or sword, and that religion just happened to say that gays are icky, and so now all of the people have to say gays are icky. That is also one of the number one reason that I get in argumentation for why you should be anti-LGBTQ is that it's icky. And you would say no one would use that in an actual debate. Yeah.
Now, like it's like what did people do when prohibition ended? Well, they went out to the bar and they got fucking drunk, right? Does that mean nobody was drinking during? They weren't drinking. That they were drinking. It just had to be done behind closed doors or in top secret clubs where the police weren't aware of, at the risk of being raided by the police, or people making alcohol in their home.
And they still did it.
They still did it. So, when that came to an end and you didn't have to hide it anymore, yeah, you want to go out and you want to get fucking drunk at the bar and do your thing.
Do your thing. Religion, kind of the opposite of that. Do our thing. But yes, we are talking. Priest calls out Pride Month from the pulpit. They tend to, unfortunately, except for the liberal ones, kind of be a-holes on this subject. I'm trying to think. I was going to say it's not their fault. It's the religion's fault, but it's their fault for following the religion. So, we got to parse that out.
That's how indoctrination works.
Unfortunately. Yeah. But we're about to go to the opposition viewpoint, but please keep on remembering to support the channel by sending in super chats, and we'll dance around, or I'll dance around, and James and myself will talk about them and interact. Keep on sending us in anything at James W. and at Amy Newman. You can also join our membership down below with our evolving badge system, which just grows the longer that you've been a member. Things do evolve. If evolution triggers you, see, it's funny. Triggers just become such a lexicon.
Or is that the naturalistic fallacy that hello
natural is good?
It's like it's the fault of those who go against the order of nature.
Yes. When arsenic is natural but bad for you, open heart surgery, unless it's being done by a random person, generally speaking, artificial and
done by a educated licensed doctor.
Yes, I guess it's being done by just Fred by the shed, which probably not a good thing.
Which, by the way, I mean, you parse it out, that kind of is what is their answer to healthcare in the country was. Remember back like 2000. Oh well, the education for the doctors is just so much. What if we open it up and we started allowing maybe people with like a 3 or 4 year degree to do stuff? It doesn't have to have like the full MD medical doctor degree. That costs so much money, but if you could do it in half the time, they could charge less, right?
Or we could charge less for college. These little things.
And then so you can go to, which by the way still happens every once in a while. Somebody will go to their next door neighbors and see a shop vac in there and say, hey, how about you do some liposuction on me with that shop vac, and we'll save the money from the plastic surgery. And what happens is that the vacuum that the doctors use for liposuction is like less than 1% the strength of that shop vac. So that's going to start pulling your intestines in. You're not going to be very happy. But don't legalize that.
Well, we need to legalize marijuana. Hopefully that will eventually become, it's already now got moved down federal levels.
What did they do? Did they reschedule it federally?
They did. It's now
What is it,
no
Schedule
longer. I believe that it's on such a level that it's almost like on Tylenol and stuff like that.
Oh.
They made it way lower, a few levels lower, which is the way it should be. It shouldn't have been the same as heroin. My goodness. Speaking of which, so you can join our channel, Evolving Badges. Thank you for our channel members, as well as all our Patreons at patreon.com/AB Newman, including awesome supporters like Azo, reminding us that we have a Skeptic and Ranting community. You don't need to pay anything to be part of the Skeptic and Ranting community. We just want to give an alternative to religion, because unfortunately, a lot of these religious organizations want to force you to stay in there by threat of hell. And yeah.
Well, hello, outsiders. So evolution doesn't depend on the starting point. Evolution works, right? There's plenty of evidence to substantiate the theory. It's very well supported. So the fact that we don't have the same level of evidence and support for abiogenesis really doesn't have anything to do with evolution. You talk about the starting point. Well, the way that life is described in the Bible, we know that's not how it happened, right? We know that life has evolved on this planet for billions of years. It wasn't instantaneously poof. So yeah, it had to start somehow, right? So we can infer that it probably started through a natural process that we don't quite yet fully understand. But at least we know that there is a natural world for stuff like that to happen, and we don't have to postulate this deity that we don't have any evidence for and say that maybe he did it.
But abiogenesis is such a rabbit trail and a non sequitur, because evolution is both a theory and a fact, as in it's a fact of nature that, at least it seems, I'd be highly surprised if alien life were any different, in that evolution exists wherever life is. Now, I get that I could be wrong about that, and I think that aliens would look probably drastically different, unless convergent evolution, a whole bunch of other pressures. But like, evolution is natural selection, is random mutations and successive genes after multiple populations. And the thing with abiogenesis is that you would have to prove that it also came from a god. I always the reason why it has no bearing on anything is because whenever I try to turn those same questions around, like, okay, and I'm not targeting you either, I just, because thank you for even bringing the subject up, but when I turn it around and I ask them, well, okay, how did God make the 4-letter DNA code? How did God start, get us from RNA to DNA? Or did God just make DNA? Boom.
Or her classic question, how did God fuck a goat? I mean, how did God make a goat? How did God make a goat? I'm sorry.
Yes.
How did God make a goat? How do you get a goat?
Yeah, but no, like, magic seems to be the answer.
So if we appeal to the natural world for solutions, we know that there's a natural world, right? We all acknowledge that. We know that natural processes can do things that are not intuitive. Like the ability of the natural world to do things is pretty unbelievable in some ways. But so it doesn't necessarily mean we know exactly how it happened, but at least we have a rational basis for assuming that it happened in the natural world. Or we don't know anything about this deity that poofs life out of nothing.
Yes, in fact, the thing is that all evidence points to it being natural, but that's not really the way that we still need to collect data and get better models. And so it really hasn't graduated from a hypothesis to a theory. However, all of the data that we've collected, I mean, we have 0 data points that go towards a non-natural formation of life.
I mean, well, when you go there, fellow outsiders, you're kind of messing with unfalsifiability. Like, you're making it impossible to falsify because, yeah, it could be some supernatural thing that we just can't understand.
And I'll also keep on. I'll make, semi-strong atheist claims. I mean, we don't need all of the supernatural processes. I contend.
Yes, atheist
I assert that we know of so far no supernatural processes.
So and that's the thing, right? That T-Jump has said before. So there are gaps in abiogenesis, things we don't understand, but there are things that we kind of do understand. So, the fact that we maybe have 5 or 10 key principles or core principles of it is at least it's a starting point, right? We know there's something going on here.
I also think that, just to speak on objective and subjective morality, I think that we're atheists, skeptics, Gnostics, whatever group as big as we want to put ourselves out into, I think we're the only ones that can truly have a moral discussion. Because I just think that even though they sell it really well, it's not really a moral system. It's this weird, butchered, objective, subjective system. Because I'm the weird, middle ground. I believe it has objective and subjective elements, but they've found a way to bastardize it to where it's a subjective agent that, because it's eternal, is objective. And that doesn't follow the fact that it knows everything and is all powerful doesn't mean that it doesn't have to be a dick. It can be all powerful, all knowing, and a really bad dude or dudette. It would have to be all good. It would have to have that omni good quality, which if we're reading the Bible, it definitely doesn't have. I'm sorry, he definitely doesn't have. It is a he with a big schlong-a-ding-a-dong, because if you ask any believer, they will fight you metaphorically over it.
So
it's genderless, but definitely a he.
And go see Jesus' name tag. It's go have he, him pronoun. Like my pronouns are he and him.
I know. Can I also give a shout out?
My pronouns are he and him.
To he and him. I want to send a shout out to Forrest and Godless Engineer on the line who had a fantastic call. There was a gentleman who tried to make his pronouns attack and helicopter. Classic anti-trans moniker. Now,
Dickhead.
Yes, dickhead. Now, when he tried to talk about theology, they basically would not let him go towards it until, he was being, until they got him to, I would say, concede his either passive aggressiveness or being a dick. That's the better way of saying it. And
sunflower?
Because he wanted.
Is that sunflower?
Sunflower? Yeah, probably. No, I don't think it was. Was it sunflower? All I know is it was recently re-released because I saw it during the live, and then I know the line just released it again. And so go check it out. Fantastic stuff.
If your pronouns are attack and helicopter,
yes, exactly.
I'm going to change that to little dick.
And it's like they think, and it is the one joke. It is their joke. The other thing that drives me crazy, and I know we keep on going into it. We're in the middle of doing shout outs. Whatever. Ranting is in the
It happens.
the freaking thing. Dave Rubin, okay, released a trailer for his new sitcom cartoon, and it's terrible. It's really bad. And the three jokes that they go into, they really go after trans, non-binary, and then basically, both. And I really had to sit, and after I was like, my God, the whole thing, that's all they cared about. Like, they're obsessed with this shit. And then I'm like, you know who they didn't attack? It took me a second. They didn't attack gays. I wonder why that is, James. Could it be that Dave Rubin is a married homosexual man?
That might have something to do with it. Yeah. He's totally okay with being gay, but if you want to say that your gender, that's totally set. That's again on the page.
I don't want to ostracize my fantastic and fabulous gay brothers and sisters. That once again,
that would be gay.
That would be, well, see, in my eyes, gay is being good, though. So wouldn't that be being straight? See, it all gets confusing. That's why it always gets to, that would be being a dick. That's why I like it. Or being a vag, if we take Carlin's advice, because dicks can actually, or vages can take a beating where a PP, you're going to pummel it. Pummel that thing, and ain't gonna work no more. Not that it did work that great before, especially if you're a priest. Priests, they have such a great track record. What were we talking about? Anyway, happy Pride. Azo, and sending love to Chris. Chris, we have a Skeptic and Ranting community. We also welcome all theists, whether you are Jewish, Christian, or Muslim, Hindu, pagans, whatever you are, as long as you're skeptical of your belief systems. Come one, come all. We also like those that aren't, by the way. You can come join our chat too, but that's a whole nother story. Anyway, sending love to Chris and Asa and Dale Pastel, reminding us that we're looking for empirical evidence. If you come across someone that says, oh, please, this isn't someone where we should want empirical evidence, chances are they are trying to sell you oil from a cobra that they have squeezed the juices out of. How you get the good stuff, James.
Or in Ken Oven's case, a rattlesnake.
Yo, I don't believe in karma, but that is some funny shit, right?
Oh, come on, Amy. It couldn't have happened to a nicer person.
Indeed. And we watched a video.
Now I know what Adam and Eve went through in the garden. I've gone toe-to-toe with one.
Never trust snakes, James. It still makes no sense. The Christian version doesn't make sense to me because then
to that snake about why he doesn't have legs anymore.
But why does the snake not have legs? Satan things up for snakes in general?
Mr. Rattlesnake, do you know why you don't have legs? Well, a long time ago, one of your ancestors got possessed by Satan and tricked mankind. God had to take your legs away to teach you guys a lesson about being possessed by Satan. I mean, wasn't your fault. You're a non-sentient animal, but still, God was mad, so he had to punish somebody.
I try to hail Satan, but I end up just hailing a cab. It's terrible. What's up, Purple? What's up, everybody? Sending love also to Rachel Holen. Sending love, Rachel. Yay! Reminding us that we should not go to the nations around to collect slaves. If you want a slave, maybe just go to a kinky website or a bar. There's many ways to do. Go to Grindr. But probably don't conquer.
Go to MrBatman.com.
That dude. We could line the halls.
Counsel ex-gays. I do private counseling with them.
Mm-hmm. I do private counseling, sir. Sir, would you like to get on your knees for the Lord, sir?
Drop your pants, sir.
Drop your pants, sir. Oh my goodness. The amount of anti-gay closeted Christians. Well, they're not closeted as in they think that they're Christian. They're closeted as in they like the big. Anyway, thank you, Rachel. Thank you, davegar, reminding us that the world is round and 4.5 billion years old. Whether you think that's old or not, that's really the marketing. Really, the fact that there even is young and old Earth creationism is just so troubling.
Is old. 6,000 is really old, Amy.
I know. Very old. Do you have any grandpas that are 6,000-year-old?
I'm in my 70s. I am on my 5th wife. I'm getting old.
That's a wife for almost every decade.
Pretty much, yeah.
He needs 2 more. He can get a free one. Oh my goodness!
Cheaper by the dozen.
Yeah, exactly, James. The more wives you get, the cheaper it is.
You need a Volkswagen bus to fit them all.
It's like a clown car. I'd say we're going to hell, but this is where the Christians go. Yeah, no. Sending love, last but not least, the captains of the girl deck. Sending love to Regos, reminding us that we have conducted Bible study. We should do that this upcoming week. Go back knee deep into the Bible because God has 2 functions. Either he's naming dukes and all sorts of non-relevant characters that will never have any speaking lines, or he's murdering anyone. I guess tonight it's just Sodom and Gomorrah and all those, fun times. What were the babies doing that they deserved death? Well, they had it coming. They only had, I guess, themselves to blame. Doesn't really make a lot of sense, but anyway, thank you so much. Last, Ian Davenport, thank you so much, Ian. You give us so much support and love. We're sending it back to you, reminding us that these apologetic arguments suck. Doesn't matter if it's the Kalam, Pascal's wager, or the contingency argument, which is like the hot thing. All these arguments are hundreds of years old, so it's weird that anything is the hot argument, but they don't have science, and so yeah. I'm interested though, outsiders, what religion are you? You don't have to tell us, but we can't help ourselves. And with that, I'm actually going to thank you, everyone out there, whether you are a member, a subscriber, or just a hate viewer. Haters
You're one of the Dukes.
Hate. One of the Dukes. 62 Duke. James, that number is burned into my brain like 42 from what's it called?
Back when the
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. 62 Dukes.
A million people in the world.
I know.
The entire nation of Great Britain today only has like 30 or 20 some Dukes.
62.
62 Dukes. Yeah.
No speaking lines. Not a single one. They get no paid credits.
But they were named.
But they were named. That's true. I guess they get named in the credits, but that's it.
Who didn't get named?
Who did? Oh, exactly. I know what's coming. Hold on. let my people Johns know.
Well, yeah, he was called Pharaoh. And the Pharaoh before that, he was also Pharaoh. And the next Pharaoh, also Pharaoh.
He takes after his father.
There you go. If you don't give a name, you can't be wrong, right?
If you don't have a name, don't give a damn. They couldn't take the time to just pick out a Pharaoh's name. Then again, the gospel. Well, they guess they had time with the Gospels, and those were made up too, or say made up. They had no names. Made up is debatable, maybe, but they are anonymous authors. I still get people, Christians who fight me. They throw punches. No. But like debates over whether the Gospels were anonymous. Like, dude, there's a good chance your Bible on the cover, inner cover of the jacket or in between the pages or on the annotations says that.
Only like the uber fundamentalists, like the crazy fundies believe.
Well, that's my favorite answer. I'm like, who wrote,
Mark.
John or Mark? And
Not Mark.
And you know what the answer I always get, James?
What?
John. Mark. Not always. I shouldn't stereotype too much.
Usually.
But I get this a surprisingly more amount than you would think when that's not an atheist talking point. That's like your own religion. We don't make this shit up. That's you guys.
We know Paul wrote at least a few of the books attributed to him, although there probably are several that were not written by him.
James,
it kind of crept in.
I call it Pollyanity. All right, and for good reason. Half of the New Testament written by Paul. Probably a lot of things that were ascribed to him weren't actually, but it does seem, along with him in the Gospels and few other surprise writers, like his shtick. He's the one who was, had this vision 50 years after all the events had already been done, and was like, time to go and preach it to a wider audience. Yeah, he saw 50 years after Jesus died. Is that not crazy? But yeah, James, I'm going to hand it over to you for a second, and then we're going to go into the opposition. We are talking about Priest Call Out Pride Month from the Pulpit. Please tag myself and Amy Newman or at James W so that you can talk with us. But what do you think, James? Pride Month, priests, what a combo.
Well, there are people who claim to see Jesus today. I don't know that anybody would base their theology on any of those claims. But the Catholic Church still entertains Marian apparitions, people claiming to see Mary, but I think it's been a while since they based any theology off anything that supposedly came from the Virgin Mary. Yeah, hey, sherbet. Orange sherbet. That would be good. Yeah, that's the thing, Purple. There are plenty of denominations that have completely liberalized on the issue. There's lots of those. And it's funny because I always say, that there are plenty of Christian denominations that welcome LGBT parishioners with open arms. They don't discriminate against them. They will perform their marriages. They don't look at them as anything other than regular people, just like them. Not all denominations, but there are quite a few that are liberal on it. But you will not find even one accredited university or school, for that matter, that teaches creationism. You'll not find even one. That should let you know who's winning here. And you see that as it always has, as it always will, religion is bending to the will of the world, to the non-religious. Like if you look at like a lot of what Christians today preach and believe versus hundreds of years ago, it's been significant evolutions in the way they present their theology today. Because if they preached it like they did maybe 500 years ago, people would exit the religion en masse. They're doing that already, but it'd be even more pronounced. Why the Catholic Church in the 1960s basically had to throw out 75% of everything they said before with this new Vatican Council to liberalize it, so they would stop hemorrhaging parishioners. Oh, I mean, they are dying out. Hello, outsider. They are, make no mistake, they are dying out. Falling under. Yeah. Every week there will be fewer and fewer cars going to church on Sunday. You might have momentary blips where it pops back up for political reasons, but well, it certainly seems that way. I guess the fundamentalists are always going to try to be vocal, but I don't think most Christians care. Because if you ask most Christians whether it matters to them or they care, no. They're carpooling, yeah, really. Yeah, it's that part of it is that people people just aren't getting anything out of church really anymore. Between the choice of getting out of your bed and going to a building to hear a priest or pastor talk versus getting a couple hours extra sleep, I think most people would get more out of the additional rest than they would going to hear a priest or pastor pontificate about things they don't really know to be true. Yeah, there are people who go to church just for the fellowship and community, but yet the churches are still losing members. We're becoming less social. That's you know, for better or for worse, we are becoming less social.
And I also want to make this an alternative so that when you do leave religion, there are channels out there. I know that Atheist Junior, I know that Mark Reid, I know The Line, I know the Atheist Experience,
Flavor with eyes.
The Flavor, all these channels out there, answers in atheism. Gonna go for it. So many fantastic people. J.L. Warren, T-Jump, Pine Creek, I'm gonna win them over. Gonna become pro-LGBT. Trying to think who else is fantastic out there. Godless Engineer and Maya. Maya does great content. But enough shouting out atheists, skeptics, and scoundrels.
Yeah.
Let us go to it. The opposition viewpoint. Give me one moment. I love my clickety clacks. We are going to be watching Priest call out Pride Month from the pulpit, from the channel Reason and Theology.
Two things that normally do not go together.
No, and like I said, you got to front load that, because if you started with theology, no one would probably pay attention. Oh, I kid my theist brothers and sisters. Just and all right, I have it on 1.5. I ended up watching it on 1.5 a few times myself. I find it's a good because he's a little bit slow, and so that almost evens it out. Please tell us if the audio is good. Tag me at Amy Newman, James W at James W, and we are getting into it. We're going to watch a Catholic priest call out Pride Month from the pulpit.
I'm calling you out.
Calling you out. This is the most youthful part of the
like
podcast of this. After this,
hip-hop
just
music
know.
playing
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Priest.
Okay, maybe not the picture you want to highlight, but you know, whatever. Oh, okay, no. It actually makes a lot more sense now. Probably was the picture you were trying to highlight.
Father Alan Benander, a Catholic priest, calls out Pride Month and the sin of homosexuality from the pulpit. Check it out.
Why was St. Charles?
Check it out. Also, warning to everyone beforehand, we apologize to everyone's right ear. It is going to be left-eared from the audio. You're not going crazy, but you will continue to hear the lovely commentary in both channels.
Charles Lowinger martyred and his companions was because he resisted the impure, perverse advances of the king, the ruler, in his day.
And I tried to look this guy up. It is a very odd situation. He is describing a gentleman who's going to proposition them to have gay sex.
He wanted St. Charles and his companions to engage in perverse acts, impure acts, homosexual acts. And St. Charles said absolutely not, and encouraged his companions to not engage in those acts.
A king told him to do it. It's like, hey, suck my... And he's like, no, I will not.
And they were all martyred, very painful deaths. St. Charles himself was burned. Considering
they were martyred. James, do you remember in history when it was just an entire kingdom, or at least the gay king who sentenced straight people to death? I don't remember that king.
I don't remember that lesson.
Yeah, must have skipped that.
This motive of St.
I like
Charles' death.
King Arthur and Camelot, Robin Hood, somewhere in there.
Yes. King Arthur gets his Robin Hood.
Sheriff of Nottingham. Yeah.
Something like that.
The distinct of his martyrdom and the corresponding reason why they killed him, that is his resistance to impurity. And considering that this month of June, sadly, in our culture, has become a month which is known for promoting that vice that St. Charles resisted. And also considering that Pope...
Also, I didn't notice this the first time, but not exactly, I'll let the page not turn, not exactly a pew filler, this guy, as fancy as he is.
Francis, our Holy Father, has recently written and spoken on this subject in a document and in various follow-up statements.
Got two guys down
Statements
there.
that he made that have often been taken out, have been misunderstood. I thought it would be good time for us this morning to review the Church's teachings on this matter, on acts contrary to chastity, especially same-sex acts. And
I'm glad that we're taking time out from a man who either has never had sex or has vowed to never take sex. Let's talk about sex.
And the summary of the Church's teachings, as we'll see, is hate the sin, love the sinner. But let's look at it a little bit more. The first and most important fundamental teaching on the Church on this matter is that the only acts of this kind, only acts of a sexual nature that are moral, are acts between a husband and a wife in the context of marriage that are open to children.
You get that? Only sex that is good is if you are doing it in missionary so that you can get those babies. Boom, 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 boom. That's all you should be doing, James.
So then, if you're,
Part-
if you're a woman in your 50s, I guess, no more sex for you.
No, that basically means that it's over, game over, James. No more sex.
This is scriptural truth. This is truth of natural law. That is because this act, the marital act, as it's known, is the act distinct to marriage, has as its primary
sex.
Yeah, they dance.
Oh yes,
they dance around the term that thing that married people do.
I know he uses lots of euphemisms.
Yeah.
When they're like dancing around and they start fighting and mommy and daddy start wrestling and then one of them comes out on top.
And procreation of children. That's very clear just from the nature of the things, the nature of the act.
It is.
And the nature of the bodies of men and women and the scriptures. God says, be fruitful and multiply.
Oh, okay. There we go.
One has an innie, one has an outie. Look, we figured that out.
What's up, then? That's right. Yes, it is. All right. We're going to learn about the stork today.
This is, of course, a very beautiful act when it's done properly, when it's done according to the way God has created it, the God-ordained act. It's a very good, beautiful, and holy act when done in the context of
that marriage. He will not take place in.
It's a loving act. It also has its secondary and, of course, the building up of the spouses, showing love and affection for the spouses and building up that love. So when done in the way God has planned it, it's a most beautiful act, the most good act, the most holy act.
What the fuck? I like how he's, once again, this is what I mean by like, they fetishize sex in like a weird way. This is the good way, the right way. This is the way we like it.
It's the act that produces life and love. And those things, it's from God.
It produces love. However, other types of sex can't produce love because it can't produce a baby. So love equal baby?
Because it is such a good and holy and beautiful act, abuses of this act, abuses of that power are especially to be condemned, and the church does condemn it. The greater a thing is, the more to be condemned is the abuse of that thing. So, for example, the Holy Eucharist is a most sacred thing, the most blessed sacrament. We just had
very sacred. James, I had to look up what that was, but apparently it is the known as the Holy Communion and Breast Sacrament of the Lord's Supper. It is Jesus, but Cheez-It version? Oh.
Yeah, the priest transforms it into the body of Jesus, but it still has the appearance of just bread.
Can I ask, and I know you're not a Catholic, but if you show up to whatever assembly it is to collect your little portion of Jesus, and you have a dipping cup, is that bad? Is that looked down on, like a garlic parmesan?
They would consider that a sacrilege.
Jesus can't taste good. That's what they're telling me.
You're treating it as you're not showing it the proper reverence that this is the body of Jesus himself.
What if I did barbecue? Is that a little bit more?
No, like
it's American.
Like they will find like when they go through the church afterwards and they find like these chewed up, like that somebody had spit it out, and that's a big deal to them. That is a big
you have
sin.
to eat it. It's a good way to drug people.
You can't spit it out. It's the body. Goodness. It's the body of Jesus. You can't just spit it out and leave it in the church or for somebody to be stepped on or whatever.
Then I feel like we should go out of our way. At that point, I feel like we should have blood of Jesus marinara.
Well, I did.
You really got to sell it. I'm just pointing out.
Well, I did say once that we could send people out to the various Catholic churches to the masses, and if we get enough of them of these wafers, we could make it into Jesus, and then you could have sex with the body of Jesus that we had recreated.
And then I could have a snack. It's a win-win.
Yeah, there you go. You can have sex with Jesus.
James, I do with my yoga instructor. Jesus, he's fantastic.
I mean, I get it. Fucking a big mashed up bread might not be your thing, but you can't look at it that. Just consider it the same as if it was Jesus.
And this is what I mean. They really do take this seriously, and this is what I point out is a cult.
So
he's
like
dressed up.
There are sermons
up like a
where
pilgrim.
the priest is like calling, where the priest is like calling people out because like they found these hosts, the Eucharist hosts, laying around the church. And he has to remind them all that, hey, this is a big deal. We don't do this. This is evil.
You eat your Jesus, or you get no dessert.
Yes. Yes.
Yesterday,
so if you did that, you would be supposed to have to go to confession and confess that before you take the Eucharist next week. Otherwise, that would be another sin.
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. I tried to eat my Jesus, and it was a little... It needed a little salt, is all I'm saying. Listen, he died for my sins. Could a little salt kill him?
Be greatly exalted, as Holy Mother Church does, but abuses of the Eucharist are to be greatly condemned.
Holy Mother Church does. I just love how they love their pronouns, not to get too postmodernist. And if you challenge them on any of the pronouns, it has to be that way. The Holy Ghost, by the way, has to be feminine, because if it was male, it'd kind of get a little homo. It would be kind of it'd be three different dicks all around. It'd be Father, Son, and Holy Daddy. You can't have that. Yeah. There's got to be, I guess, a girl in there somewhere. Which is apparently a Holy Ghost.
Maybe.
The ghost has like a really big rack, apparently.
Religious masses. So the corruption of the best is the worst. So too on this level, on the natural level, because the marital embrace, because our human sexuality is such a good and beautiful and holy thing, when used properly, the abuse of that is to be greatly condemned. So any acts that aren't...
Holy Spirit is a feminine word in Hebrew. But that confuses me. The Jews didn't believe in a Holy Spirit. And I also get that. I get the same thing from Muslims who say that the God, it being male in Arabic, like it had to be that way. There's no other way. And they use it, they kind of like created it, and then they use the fact that they put it that way as evidence. Like, it could just be changed around. The Rach is the spirit. I wanted to say ranch, and it took me a lot not to say it. But yeah. But can I just ask, because it sounds like you're saying Christian. You really believe a guy came back from the dead after 3 days? It gets me. It gets me each and every time that you just take that on board. That say someone came 72 hours of rotting. And James, can I tell you the one and only defense that I get every time without fail? Well, he's God, isn't he? Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I get that. But that's like the get out of mental effort free card. Because that just means, yeah, I get that he's doing it. How? 72 hours of biological decay. Did people 300 years ago believe the internet was possible? See, that's not the same thing, though. See, all I'm asking for is how. I'm not saying it's impossible. Like, I could easily imagine, not to go aliens. We've already done so once. So why not again? But I can imagine where aliens did it. I don't believe in aliens. I believe there's probably actually aliens out there. I don't believe that aliens did resurrect him. I think Jesus just was thrown into a mass grave with a bunch of other corpses. And then his followers were like, oh shit, he died. He can't actually be the Messiah, but he's kind of our prophet. And so there was a new narrative that had to be made, which is he came back to life. And maybe they believed it. Maybe they really did think that he came back to life. But once that happened, there was a change in the religion. And Yes, it is. God is out of bounds of time. He has capabilities that we would never discover due to our time. No. I get that.
She gets
Even
that.
though
She knows that.
even though I don't think that's true, because I'm always like, get God to come down here. If he's timeless, then time doesn't matter. I just mean, how did he undo the rot? 72 hours of rot.
Oh, you just snapped his fingers and he was back to good as new.
But we are talking priests call out Pride Month from the pulpit. This Muppet here is doing so.
Open to the generation of life within the context of marriage are to be condemned. This includes contraception. This includes adultery, a most grievous sin. Because it also includes grave
contraception, going right into it, which they love saying this, whether they're in their own country or whether they go to countries like Africa that are still trying to fight different pandemics and epidemics and say, don't use condoms. Okay.
Yeah, I think they stopped. I think they kind of stopped doing that.
Good. I hope so. Well, they used to do that, and by used to, it would have only been months, years, not that long ago. And so
I think it was Benedict the 16th who came out and said that, yes, even though the church teaches that contraception is a sin, it's still not good, but in the context of Africa, with the pandemics and with the spread of the virus, it's kind of maybe like the lesser of the two evils. I don't know how he worded it, but
he warned us of the future and how it will be solved. Ooh, okay. Well, what did he warn us of, and how are we going to solve it? I'm ready. I'm on board.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing. It's like they're really good at telling you after something happens and pointing out the Bible. Oh yeah, look, that happened right here. That's that. You're taking an event, you're trying to make it fit, but what they can never really seem to do is predict something before it happens.
Very specific word. It's called post-diction. They are not able to make predictions. They're not able to say something is going to happen into the future. They are able to take events in the past and reinterpret them and say, this is what God was actually trying to warn us of. But also, oh, mama, you gotta understand, he's a magic man.
Because that's the one thing they'll say is, they've been talking about it since the 90s, since I remember. Oh, the Jews are going to rebuild their temple. They're going to rebuild it so they can start doing the sacrifice again. And
well, that escalated.
Have they broke ground on that temple yet?
No. Just more war and a lot of political strife. But
see, the
going
Catholic
great.
Church actually doesn't think that they're going to rebuild the temple. That's not part of their theology. But most Protestants do, because it talks about sacrifices being done. And well, if they're not doing sacrifices because they don't have a temple, well, then that means they'll have to rebuild the temple at some point, which they're not going to do.
Okay, this is interesting, but what the hell? I'm trying to understand the globalization of the world. All right, that means, because I am admittedly, James, I think, has some of these qualities. I'm a globalist. I'm pro us trading with each other, but globalization is more a factor of nookie, of snoo, of just people making babies and us spreading around the world and continuing to do so.
Well,
the mark
our technology, our ability to communicate and travel is so much
has gotten
than it
increased.
was before.
Indeed, it doesn't take months to travel the country or the world. The mark that would be required to buy, sell. What is the mark? Because currency has been around for a little while now.
You know that the mark of the beast, the thing that'll be on your head or your foot or your hand.
Yeah, Elon Musk is trying to create Neuralink, and they're trying to do it. But you know what will end up happening? I will continue to say it. Everything, that stuff is going to happen, and it's going to be convenient and boring. you're going to start paying at Target like this one day, or even from facial technology, whatever way they're doing it. And it's just going to be very boring in the end and not a conspiracy.
You'll have right in your eyes, like augmented reality that you can turn on and off. Like the GPS will be in your head. You'll see.
I mean, that'd be way. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And I will continue to say, and I'm not the first comedian to point this out, but James, if there was a device that was tracking us wherever we were, that just knew our personal thoughts and could be recording us at any time, I think that would drive us insane and our society would collapse.
People get their porn from it.
I'm sorry, I have a call. Yes, Soros? Yeah, he said to make a new chemtrail, James. That's what we have to do in the podcast closes.
Well, I mean, one more thing is that Christians have thought they were in the last days long before there was globalism or this electronic mark of the beast thing. They thought that, so they've always been able to look at Revelation, look at the Bible, and put that within the context of the time they lived in. It's always been that way throughout the history of Christianity. So it didn't. The fact that they didn't have an exact mechanism for that didn't bother anybody before.
Makes sense. I'm pretty sure it was the market of the bees. I'm pretty sure they were just trying to talk about the Bee movie. Doorknob head is on to something.
This includes fornication, relations outside of marriage amongst those who aren't married, which amounts to just basically using each other as contraception. It basically amounts to
just using each other? You mean having a good time? Bonding?
Using each other for physical and emotional gratification.
Physical and emotional gratification. Like going to a movie with your partner. Yeah.
Pornography or lust of any kind, denigrating, usually women, sometimes men as well.
I also love that. Mostly women, sometimes men as well. Can I tell you what's subtle about that statement, James?
Do it.
Statistically, men and women are like 50-50 within porn. So what he's saying there is the women should be shamed, and every once in a while, the gay men should be ashamed. But he's really letting, if you think about the logistics of what he just said, most of the straight men doing porn off the hook there.
Pornography or lust of any kind, denigrating, usually women, sometimes men as well, precious children of God, denigrating them to
just pointing that out.
Be mere objects of one's selfish lusts. The solitary acts, impure acts with oneself, etc. Any act that's not open to life and to the building up of that spousal union.
I'm sorry, it's just so funny to watch a subscribe button while he's basically telling you not to be gay.
Or masturbate.
Or masturbate. Or both, James. Two birds, one stone.
Is condemned by the church, and very strongly so, again, because the act as created by God is so good and holy. So to abuse that, to destroy that, is a horrible thing,
holy.
And to be greatly condemned.
And if you were basically to do butt sex, it's the end of the world. It's Satan.
Especially could be to be condemned, and this is to be noted, are acts, unchaste acts between members of the same sex, because these are especially perverse and gross, both on the physical and moral level.
By the way, he did take a little bit of time to do his hair. Fantastic little flare. I wonder if he chose those flowers. Who knows?
Accessories.
Okay. They're especially perverse and especially offensive to God, because they are especially an abuse of the sexual faculty, as well as an
abuse of the sexual faculty. However, this is my favorite, James.
An abuse of friendship.
What? It's an abuse of friendship. James, this guy got burned. A long, long time ago, in a relationship far away. I'm sorry, but that sounds a little bit more personal and out of left wing. But whatever.
Acts of this nature have obviously no even appearance of being producing of life, nor is there even any semblance of it being natural, of any semblance of that. This is how these acts should be done. It's not even, it's perverse, right?
It's icky, James. Oh my goodness.
It's icky.
Can I also just point out why the icky defense doesn't work? All right. I'm just going to translate it to food, quite simply. All right. Many people like and do not like sushi. All right. Some people find it disgusting. Some people find it amazingly delicious. Neither side should ban whether you should eat sushi. Exactly, because it's just taste. And that, to me, is almost exactly analogous to people's preferences with sex.
How about if I really like sushi, then I can go to the store and buy it, eat it. But if you don't like sushi, well, you just don't go and buy and eat it, right? Does that work?
What? James, that almost sounds logical, rational, and reasonable.
No, we should execute anybody who doesn't eat it.
There we go. I like that better.
Mandatory. Exactly. You will eat sushi or you will die.
Or you will die. Because I don't find it disgusting, and if you do find it disgusting, you should either way of that position is just so silly. I do not understand why you just cannot. They use this phrase all the time, but live and let live. Oh my goodness, whatever.
The scriptures very strongly condemn it. Sodom and Gomorrah were destroyed for this sin.
And then we remember, and we stole his rainbow, bitch.
It's an abomination. The acts are abominable before the eyes of God. They cry out to God for vengeance. And again, like I said, they are contrary to friendship, and the spreading of this is not good for society.
What are you, the fucking friendship is magic crew? I don't understand. I know he's the friend police.
It's like Barney the dinosaur is going to come out and do a little dance, and they're going to talk about how to be a good friend.
Excuse me.
Kids. Real friends don't fuck each other in the ass.
Real friends don't each other in the butt. Yes, exactly. We're going to sing a song about it now. It really doesn't make any sense.
You wouldn't put your pee-pee in your friend's mouth. That would be mean. That's not a good friend.
That's not a good friend. It's a great friend.
Objective, moral, and even physical level, and very physically harming to those involved, not to mention spiritually and emotionally. So there's absolutely no justification for them whatsoever.
I know. I'm sorry.
Completely clear on this.
Once again, we do that shit too. It's just funny. Like, follow, and don't be a gay. Oh, okay. We did. Okay. You could have went a lot of places, but okay.
Understand that the movement in our day, the so-called, how many letters are now? LGBTQ plus movement, okay, the gay rights movement. It is about.
Yo, that was his attempt at a joke, and it's been dry. Like, I feel like I need to take a bottle of something.
Not the relationships themselves, not the unions themselves, but the persons involved. Some people got tripped up because at one point in the document he says the couples in the unions can be blessed. They thought, if you're blessing the couple, aren't you blessing the union? Well, no. He's saying the two persons involved can be blessed so long as there's no scandal involved. And also,
James, as long as there's no scandal involved, we're going to be okay. But if there's scandal, that's the end.
So they're blessed not for the sake of approving of the sin, but for the contrary, because the sin is hurting them, acknowledging it is a sin. So we're asking God to give them the grace to get out of that sin. That's basically what it boiled down to. It was not changing the church's teaching at all. Pope Francis made that very clear, both in the document and afterwards. He has said we're blessing the individuals, we're blessing the sinners, not the sin. We're blessing the sinners so that they can live a chaste life, because these sins are so harmful to those who live it.
So he's trying to.
That's very kind of logical gymnastics there.
I know, exactly. Now, once again, that is what the Pope is doing. He is saying, bless the people. You don't have to bless the unions. However, his whole memo was supposed to be a PR movement for we are so pro-friendly to gays now. But yes, this is him trying to say, but look, all right, in the Bible, it does say to murder them. And so we're continuing to say they can't get married. Which I think is a kind of win, right, James? If you think about it.
Step in the right
Step in the right direction.
This, in a nutshell, is the church's teaching on the matter. Again,
Is it?
hate the sin, oppose the sin vigorously, oppose the movement that is promoting the sin very, very vigorously, lest our culture be destroyed.
Friendship
But at the same time, extend a loving hand of mercy, and which includes a call to conversion for those who are living that life, and reminding them that despite their sins, as the Holy Father has reminded them in that document, despite their horrible sins, despite their sins, they're still children of God. They're still loved by God, and they can, through repentance, still come
Drown you. Oh, come back to you. Okay.
to embrace the love of God themselves, and in the end, attain eternal life if they just turn from their sinful ways.
And he only did it once, so I don't know why we always bring up the drowning the whole planet thing.
And so we pray for all those involved in this movement, and we pray for ourselves, that we too might not only embrace the church's teachings,
we
but live
pray
according to it,
for
living this most
extra
beautiful of virtues,
Groupons.
the virtue of chastity. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Oof. That crowd was
Did you
pumped.
skip a part of it? Or did we really
Did I
go something quick? Oh,
Did we
I
skip
guess
a
we
part
did.
of it?
I don't know.
There was a single moment where I thought I bumped something, but I didn't know if I actually did. It's also on 1.5, I will say. Anyone chat say? But if not, I think that we
Seemed
are
like
coming
it
into
jumped,
the end.
but I wouldn't worry about it.
How many letters are
Sorry,
there? LGBTQ plus movement. Okay.
We
For
heard
gay rights.
that.
And less people say, well, what's it hurting? How's it hurting others? It's hurting the entire society, corrupting the youth, corrupting society.
Oh, here
Society
we go. You're
that
right.
fails to be
There we go.
chaste.
Well, I
is a
don't
society
remember him
that's
saying
near
that. There we go. Hurting the youth. How's it hurting the youth?
ruin, if not already there. You cannot have a society that is embracing perversion, sexual perversion, unchastity of all kinds, and have that society survive very long. Individuals will break apart, families will break apart, society will break apart. So we need to be opposed to this. We can't just be even neutral on this. We can't just be like, oh, well, that's their thing.
Sorry, societies will break apart because we're going to allow LGBTQ people to exist and marry and be part of society. I also like everyone is going to turn, if we allow gays, James, everyone is going to be gay, and then that's going to be the end of the world, basically.
Probably.
It makes sense.
No, that movement is perverting the culture, perverting the world, perverting our youth. It's a horrible, disgusting movement, okay? And I don't say there's any...
And remember, James, if they know anything about perverting the youth, let me tell you, you need the experts from the Catholic Church.
Exactly.
disdain towards those persons in the movement. I say with disdain towards the ideas they are promoting, with love for them, because this stuff
Probably,
is putting
when we
those who are in
catch
the
up
movement
to it,
itself
I'll
more
turn
in
it
a
back.
second. Remember,
I turn it
hate
off.
the sin, love the sinner. We need to be opposed to the sin, and that's what is promoting sin. Just to get that, we need to be clear. It's promoting unchaste sins of the worst kind. And closely connected is promoting this idea that men can become women, women can become men, which the Holy Father...
Oh my, I forgot about that part too. James, I didn't want to be left out of the mix. That's all I'm saying.
A woman can't become the Holy Father, and
They can't. Not at all.
yeah, you can't be the Holy Father.
Can I become the Holy Daddy? Maybe.
Pope Francis has recently strongly condemned.
There we go. He did it. You said it. Bingo. Come on. You can't hear me making fun of it and then do it. I love you, Hello Outsiders. If everyone is gay, there is no one. I mean, is God gay? Because if God isn't gay, people still came out of him. Or if he is gay, I'm not sure. Does he even have sexuality? I want to know.
If sexuality at its base is for producing life, but God's not like producing life sexually, so I mean, there's no point in him even having a gender.
Yeah, but
He
apparently
doesn't
he
have
has
a
magic.
uterus. He doesn't have gonads. You know.
Saying it's contrary to God's will, as it obviously is. So we need to do what we can to oppose this by just being honest, being blunt about the facts, and living chaste lives ourselves, right? Living chaste lives ourselves.
And living a chaste lives ourselves, and not having sex. Always goes back to that.
All that being said, it is important to say that as strongly as the church condemns the acts, the sinful acts that is involved in these sins and in the movement that promotes these sins, the church just as strongly promotes mercy towards those who fall into these sins or those who are tempted to commit these sins. The Holy Father Pope Francis, while strongly condemning the acts and following the church's tradition, strongly condemning the sins, has also reached out a hand, the church and our current Holy Father Pope Francis is reaching out a hand of mercy towards those who do fall into these sins or might be tempted to these sins, reminding them they're still called to chastity, they're still children of God.
Yeah, because they're losing
people
at the pew.
Over a recent teaching from the Holy Father. In late December, he released a document called Fiducia Supplicans. Got a lot of press. You probably heard a little bit about it. If you didn't,
you just call me a
you're probably focused on things that are maybe more important. But anyway, and not the internet and the media. But anyway, he released a document called Fiducia Supplicans. It was a document on blessings in which he reiterated the church's teachings that all I just said. That marriage is between man and woman, sexual acts outside of marriage are immoral, therefore same-sex acts are immoral. And we can never bless unions of that kind. Never bless unions of that kind.
He's like doing PR for the conservatives because it came off so liberal.
But he did say, but the church needs to have a heart of mercy for these persons because those who fall into these sins are suffering from great shame. These sins greatly hurt them, like all sin does, but in a particular way, these sins are greatly harmful to those who commit them. And so the church needs to extend a hand of mercy. And so he says the persons involved in the relationships can be blessed, not the relationships themselves, not the unions themselves, but the persons involved. Some people got tripped up because at one point in the document he says the couples in the unions can be blessed. They thought, oh, if you're blessing the couple, aren't you blessing the union? Well, no. He's saying the two persons involved can be blessed so long as there's no scandal involved.
Yes, he can bless them individually. It's their way trying to make a little bit of progress while still not actually blessing gays. But they're not murdering them, so step in the right direction, kind of. I don't know. I guess.
And also, they're blessed not for the sake of approving of the sin, but for the contrary, because the sin is hurting them, acknowledging it is a sin. So we're asking God to give them the grace to get out of that sin. That's basically what it boiled down to. It was not changing the church's teaching at all. The Pope Francis made that very clear, both in the document and afterwards. He has said, we're blessing the individuals, we're blessing the sinners, not the sin. We're blessing the sinners so that they can live a chaste life, because these sins are so harmful to those who live it. This, in a nutshell, is the church's teaching on the matter. Again,
yes,
hate the sin.
Gay is bad. Hate the sin, not the sinner. It's not a sin to be gay because sins don't exist, and it's not wrong to be gay.
Oppose the sin vigorously. Oppose the movement that is promoting the sin very, very vigorously, lest our culture be destroyed. But at the same time,
culture is not going to be destroyed by LGBTQ. Lest our culture be destroyed. It's also doing it a little excessively. I know it's on 1.5, but my goodness.
Call to conversion for those who are living that life and reminding them that despite their sins, as the Holy Father has reminded them in that document, despite their horrible sins, despite their sins, they're still children of God. They're still loved by God, and they can, through repentance, still come to embrace the love of God themselves.
What now?
In the end, attain eternal life if they just turn from their sinful ways. And so we pray for all those involved in this movement, and we pray for ourselves that we too might not only embrace the church's teachings, but live according to it by living this most beautiful of virtues, the virtue of chastity. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee.
Chastity, not having sex. It's the most beautiful thing you could do.
Blessed art thou among women, and blessed the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Like this flower, which actually, these flowers want to have sex. That's kind of what flowers are. A little bit of irony there at the end.
Mary, most pure and chaste virgin.
Okay, now they're talking about Mary. We're at the prayer start. What I'm going to get ready, because now he's just doing a prayer, and at the very, we are going to open it up, at least to anyone who would like to join the panel, especially if you disagree with us. We are going to be moving into our open mic, but this was Watch a Catholic Priest Call Out Pride Month from the Pulpit, which he did. Very moving. James, do you want to now stone gays or not allow them to marry? No,
very compelling message here, huh?
Yeah, not very compelling at all. But hey, that's their shtick, is they have to walk this line. They're like, we can't kill him. So I guess we're just going to have to say, no homo, no marriage. Great. But come join the panel at the link below. We'll open up. We'll stay here and rant for 15 minutes if skeptics and stuff just come along, or if nobody comes. But if you disagree with us, we'll probably stick around a good more while. And so the link to join is right down below. We are Skeptic and Ranting on a priest calling out Pride Month from the Pulpit. Happy Pride Month, all. It does get better. Does get better. LGBT people out there, as well as straight people, if you're going through a depressed time too, it does get better. We get through who we are. Experience comes around, and we find the people who accept us, no matter who we are. That's what's important. Oh, I'll do the normal shtick because I know a lot of shows will be like, call out, you either join or you have no PP. But yes, by all means, anyone who does disagree with us, now is the time to Jew show. I know if you are eating ice cream and in sweatpants, I understand and not wanting to join. However, if you want to join and talk with us, we are more than happy because we are the Skeptic and Ranting having fun time show. James, any news on your end? Thinking about just the debate world or religious world out there?
You said the D word, and everybody's kind of in a little bit of
I know.
Panic.
I don't even want to get into that.
Yes.
It's already what I knew going in. I'm not in a party. I'm not voting for I'm voting for the people around the person. Though I still think he's better. He's an old guy. 2 old guys. I still think one is a decent person and the other person is a narcissistic degenerate, and his cabinet would be horrific. And so my votes have not changed. And I don't want to date the episode. So if this is in the future and we don't have elections, I'm sorry for spoiler alert. But yes, come join the show. I'm going to pin it. I'll shout out Stephanie's show one last time. Stephanie, Bree, Ember, Carla's. Every week, UTC, Thursday, Friday. Come join the trans position.
If there's any more trans going on there, that would turn into a black hole of trans.
Well, and as someone who has just been in, the trenches, a little bit of it, it really has been tuned up to a degree because of the reactionaries, not because of us anymore, it sucks because it takes it out of your own control, if that makes any sense, because you're pushing for things. Oftentimes we were pushing for gay marriage, we were pushing for transgenders in the military, and now we're trying to defend against you guys are fine existing, but you stop coming after our women and children. Which, James, the women and children line, they love that line. And do you know 2 groups that they do not give a flying about? You only need to. It's women and children. Oh my goodness. So I'm just hoping that,
I don't like women and I'm not going to have any children. So.
And the world is going through a weird time right now. We're going through some reactionary and nationalistic trends, and some we might be going in more liberal trends, which I am hoping, once again, whatever the next election is after this, it will be too much younger people, hopefully, and hopefully, I'd talk about a third-party system, but my goodness, they've run not to amazing people either. I'm sympathetic to the Libertarian and Green Party, hypothetically, theoretically, but they run a lot of kooky people. A lot of conspiracy people, a lot of anti-vax. Oh well. Anyway, doorknob. They're indeed easy targets, and they don't really care. My thing, not to get, this is the most political I'll get with this subject, but I always say, I ask the people who say I am a women's rights advocate, therefore I'm anti-trans. And then I say, so you're pro-abortion, right? Not pro-choice, not pro-life. I mean, you're pro-abortion, right? And if they have a different answer, then I don't care about trans. I'd rather just talk about that. Now, once again, I don't celebrate, yay, the end of a life, but I am pro-abortion. I just don't use that choice. James knows why. It falls under my two system, James. Both sides on that. Even though I lean one way, I still refuse to use pro-choice because everyone likes choices. You like choices, James? You like choices. Who doesn't like life? I love life. So I hate those labels. All right, that's about as hippie. My hair once this podcast turns off is going to turn blue. I say I'm a truth advocate. Gender outside
Nothing is objective.
Binary is a social construct. It's not objectively true. Great. Fantastic. But I do have to ask you, I want to know just this one question. Hello, outsiders. And I love you. Thank you for, asking all this stuff or even making these statements. What gender is God? Or you can say what sex is God? Because I know that oftentimes, you guys, and when I mean you guys, I mean fundamentalists, say sex and gender are the same thing. And thus, what sex/gender is God? And if they are genderless, and we could just skip past that question, aren't you admitting that there's agents that are genderless? And then aren't you really just getting a postmodernist master's degree at that point? Or should I say a mistress degree? God is trans.
Is there there's asexual for people who don't participate or to a certain extent? Yeah, is there agender like somebody who is agender, like they claim no gender labels?
I mean, I could see someone making an argument for that. The thing with genders is that oftentimes they're trying to take a hold of a social phenomena. And so they're oftentimes not going to be objective. I could imagine someone trying to label that under non-binary, but non-binary might be saying that I am a mix or hybrid of that. And so it could bleed over into
strain of it. Because I guess you could be, you're non-binary, you're non-gender at all. So,
and most people, we use gender. The reason why we separate out gender from sex is because it is a phenomenon. We do not check people's sexes. And the number one argument I get for, no, I know. That's what people will say.
Okay, all right.
I just know because I know. And you're like, that doesn't sound very objective. Here we go. All right. God is masculine. He's got a masculine, creative, and ordered spirit rather than a chaotic feminine one. Why not a ordered feminine one? My mom is a very ordered person. In fact, I know that guys are sometimes stereotyped as slobs, and it's the woman that's cleaning up. I'm not saying that's always true. It's just... But see... But do you notice that God is masculine? Why is God masculine? Does God have in XY? Does he have something swinging between?
Do you have a set of constantes?
Who invented most things? Both genders. And led most wars? Probably men.
Well,
and?
I mean, you talk about human history, so the gender roles are still very firmly cemented, but they've eroded perhaps a little bit over the past maybe 40, 50 years. But, throughout the rest of human history, yeah, those gender roles were very rigid. And so you wouldn't have women leading people into battle, except like Joan
But
of
I don't
Arc,
understand. I don't agree with the first
occasionally it
premise,
happens.
and the second premise could be true. But what does that mean? Like, more men led wars, therefore God is a guy. He did have a lot of wars in the Bible. You're right. He does kind of act like a dick in the
Yes,
the Old Testament. But that doesn't mean he has an XY chromosome, or that he is a man of war.
but
I've played that game. Oh, God of War. Close enough.
he's also jealous. He's also the
Very
god
jealous.
of peace.
But I keep on asking okay. So you keep on saying he is a man. He. So then can gender exist without a sex?
Yeah, outside of, because that's what Amy said, that the everything used to be female, and then Beamsy pointed out, well, it was just one gender, and then really doesn't make sense to call it female unless there's a male. But I guess you could say it's more in line with the feminine.
So I still usually mostly use that talking point. However, I take on board Beamsy is absolutely correct. It's both of those things.
From a technical standpoint.
Yes. I just like pointing out that we know biologically it wasn't men who came first. Not like a guy with a dilly dog and then they took his rib. And then, what is this? The nomadic steppe culture, from where the pie came from, was and is still matriarchal. The Scythians, the Saka, all were led by warrior women.
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you what, war can be immoral, just, the thing was, God, he kept promising his people land, David, but the one thing he could not do in terms of getting them that land, he couldn't give them land that wasn't already occupied by other people. No problem. It's your land. They're just living there. All you got to do is go over there and kill them all, and then you can take it.
And let God sort him out. And okay, I get this sometimes too. He became a man. All right. So I have to ask though, for thousands of years, even in your time span, what was God before Jesus came down? So like 4,000 to 8,000 years. What gender was God?
Before he even made anything in eternity, before he made the universe, and he was just existing themselves. Because remember, he's also he, but he's also they. It's also they.
Oh, that's why I call him it's the postmodernist gender binary God, but they don't like it like that, even though that's really how they explain it.
Let us make man. So
man made the cars to take us over the road. Man made the train to carry the heavy load. It almost sound like you were going to rhyme there for a second. We almost had a poem. Man made electric light to take us out of the dark. Man made the boat to take us for a walk. For the water, like Noah made the ark. Wait, let me read that last one. What? Electric light to take us out of the dark. Man made the boat for the water. Yeah, you know what's weird? Why did no one else know how to make a boat when that happened? Still very puzzling.
Boats like that. There wasn't big bodies of water like there are today. Yeah, there weren't big bodies of water like there are today.
Yeah. Many great warrior women, warrior leaders, and inventors, and
But I mean, imagine how many um, women, girls along the thousands of generations could have had the potential to do that stuff, but never were able to because of the very rigid gender roles.
Yes, because of misogyny. They hate that word, though. Once again, I have a few words I can't use. Racist, transphobic, homophobic, misogyny, because they make them go, woo! You just have to attack the subjects themselves. I found that has been very effective.
Like
just
Joan
like
of
that
Arc
last
was
conversation.
a competent military leader, but couldn't wear men's clothing.
But hello, outsiders. What was God's gender? Like the whole chaos and order thing. I think if you were to ask and go into most households and you ask who was the element of chaos and who was the element of, then again, it is very subjective. It's hard to imagine God is a masculine spirit. You keep on claiming that, but okay, I'm gonna let the cat in, and then we're gonna wrap up.
I mean, he just can't contemplate the idea of God being feminine. So,
well, not only that, but I just want to tie
you go
it back.
A spirit's non-corporeal. They don't have a set form, right? So that.
But it's also Pride Month. Help me out here. To all of my LGBTQ sisters, sending love, but like trans people, can they be a different gender? Because that's the way they feel. That's the way they have the same characteristics. They exhibit the same type of things. They have a feminine spirit, so you would say, if they are a trans woman, and a masculine spirit if they were a trans man. I don't believe in spirits, but we're going kumbaya for this conversation, just so I can figure.
Assume for the sake of argument, baby.
Yes. But then, James, I think we're going to wrap it up. It has been fun. Hello, outsiders. It has been good conversation. We'll let you go in a second with this last one.
Later.
Come on later. And then we are sending love to our chat. Let me look real quickly to see if anybody is live. It is 4 a.m., so it would shock me greatly.
Pushing 4:30.
Praise is streaming. Of course he is.
Thanks, Dave.
So you could be a skeptic heading over to Praise. I'm trying to send any. If you have an atheist, skeptic, anyone out there,
Praise with Pride Month. Just go into his chat. And
that's right.
Pride Month.
But I think with that, we are going to wrap up. And yeah, we are sending love. We hope that you enjoyed this episode of Skeptic and Ranting. A priest calls out Pride Month from the pulpit. That's right, where we watched a video from the channel Reason Theology. The joke's too easy. We've made it a few times, but like,
it's like pickles and ice cream.
I know.
Ugh.
They seem counter, James. They just, I don't know. Water and alcohol. Called Watch a Catholic Priest Scuba Dive. Wait, no. Watch a Catholic priest call out Pride Month from the pulpit.
The scuba diving would be perhaps useful.
Yes, that would probably be a fun video.
It would be more useful than what he did. But hey,
I also like how it was such like a very dry video, and yet the person who was trying to show this off had like a bunch of like modern music and graphics, and yeah, we have the latest hit right here. Check this out. Don't
fuck your Pride Month. Fuck your Pride Month.
Well, not even that. Just very like he's talking. It sounds more modern, and then it just goes into
take that pride and don't shove it up your ass. Don't you dare shove it up your ass.
Don't you dare.
Don't even think about it.
But yes, I do want to thank all of you out there, misfits, one and all. I want to thank my co-host, James W., as well as all the people in chat, our awesome mods who make this stream so great, and lovely viewers like you who make this channel even possible. Please don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. I said it, YouTube. Let them go. And then you can hit that bell icon to all, which will allow you to join our live streams or see our premieres. You can also, hey, why not leave a comment once the video is done? James, we haven't talked about a gay voice in a while. Happy Pride Month. I love heterosexuals. They haven't been around for a while. Ah, good memories. After the show, I know we kind of like, we became friends again, but he's hotter. He's hot and cold. So,
He's yes and he's no, he's in and he's out, he's up and he's down.
And he's out, so when he's down. Yes, he is basically Katy Perry. You could also join the link of this. You really do know my browser history now. Anyway,
that the whale's penis is 15 feet long. I have a picture here. It's like 7 guys holding it because it's that long.
Just me and the buds hanging around, holding a D.
Whale dicks.
You probably tried to. I still stand by. That's why he got bit by a snake.
Yeah, you never know.
Just wanted to measure.
They have 2 pee-pees. Snakes. They have penny peens. Oh, hello, Mr. Rattlesnake.
I know now.
I wonder if this is a boy or girl. Only one way to find out. Ow!
Was it as good for you as it was for me?
But the Book of Mark said I could pick them up and they won't harm me. But
I know. I should be able to handle them without getting
actually,
bit.
Seems like it doesn't feel very good.
Yeah, it is. It's how many preachers die.
There have been several.
I say preachers because that tends to be a Protestant thing. I'm sure there are Catholics that do it too, but they're too busy teaching altar boys how to read the Bible. At least that's what they tell their parents. Anyway, you can join the Skeptic and Ranting Discord, as the link of which is also with all of our members down below. Our membership, you can join. We have an evolving badge system. If you don't believe in evolution, you don't really get a choice. It's like not believing in gravity. Natural selection is a fact of life. If you don't believe in natural selection, you will be naturally selected. I say that
Holen
only mildly because you could probably have sex, unfortunately.
He is an ape.
We are apes. Listen. This is the other thing that, what I love about the telling the creationists we are apes, James, my favorite thing is the fake offended. Like they become Southern Bells. Oh, maybe you're an animal, but not me.
You'll not declare
I'm
me to
not
be an
an
ape, good sir.
I don't throw my feces nowhere. Oh, you do declare? Yeah, no. I'm sorry. We're animals. We are apes.
I'm an animal, though. Yeah, I'm a man.
We are mammals.
Do it like they do on the Discovery Channel. That's how the song went.
It is actually how we're formed. We were not created. We use created. Once again, if someone were to use it in a lay conversation, I would not tip my imaginary glasses backwards and correct them. But when we're having a scientific discussion, we form naturally. Trees form naturally. Bacteria form naturally. Humans form naturally. Computers do not form naturally. We do not go out and harvest computers from the computer tree. But James, I'm trans. I don't know why I'm talking about biology.
God gets his boot from Gateway Computer.
Gateway. Shake weight. Happy Pride Month, y'all. All we care about, though, James, is sex. Or me, I'm sorry. You're just a heterosexual man. Heterosexual men are known for never caring about sex. And so I'm glad that we have someone like me on here. Exactly. That's all. Only about the children. Someone save the children from whatever the Catholic priests are trying to teach them. You got to be on your knees for some reason, James, to learn it. Crazy. Yes, channel members. And lastly, by checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/Amy Newman. I'm Amy Newman. This is James W. And we will see you all on the next episode of Skeptic Ball Z. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, all. Love you and